Go ahead and call this meeting to order, December 2nd, 2025. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Right. Good morning, everyone. Happy December. We do have a quorum present this morning with all 5 commissioners in attendance. Commissioners, if you've had a chance to review today's what I would call light agenda, and you have no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Thought it was going to be short. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Didn't want to hear another comment from Commissioner Tolman.
I had to hold my tongue.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. First up under tab A this morning, we've got a public hearing for a budget amendment. Resolution 25-12-CL-01 to transfer funds from within the capital budget to increase the project 2026 capital facilities custodial for a cleaner by $3,000 and decrease the project 2026 capital facilities for the van by $3,000. And at this time, I'd hand it over to accounting specialist Rebecca Romero. Good morning.
Good morning. This amendment moves $3,000 from the facilities van project into the custodial cleaner project. Public Works Director noted that the price of the floor cleaner increased since the original budget estimate. The van project has unspent funds, so the transfer covers the cost increase without affecting the county reserves.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any questions on the amendment, commissioners? If not, we do need to open this up for public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to approve Resolution 2512CL01, transfer of funds.
Do you have a motion to approve Resolution 25-12-CL-01 by Commissioner Toman? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Rebecca. Appreciate it. It's going to move us right along into the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. At this time, if there's any members of the public, either in line or in the audience that would like to address the governing body, we typically limit this to 3 minutes, especially if you're a mayor. And the floor is now open. Good morning, Mayor Mickelson.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for hearing me. I did time myself at home and I came in at about 17. So
Perfect.
To try to be truncated. No, I wanted to take an opportunity to come address the commission. The towns and municipalities in Sweetwater County have been having a lot of discussion around the specific purpose tax with the intent of
I'm getting, there you go.
With the intent, better, okay, of pursuing an extension, adding new projects in. And I'm speaking solely as the mayor, representing Rock Springs. And that is something that I'm very firmly opposed to. We entered into a contract with the voters. The specific purpose tax is a very useful and important tool that we have as elected people, but we need to not break that trust and we need to honor what we told them that it would sunset. And so I wanted the commission to be aware. I've let the other communities know that I would be here speaking today in opposition to continuing that tax. I think it's very important for the voters to have the opportunity to see that those projects were completed and that tax did in fact end before we go forward. And obviously Rock Springs has projects, right? I mean, I'm sure that everyone has projects, but we propose that to them under specific terms and we need to honor that. So I just wanted to come and let you know where the city of Rock Springs stands on that particular topic.
No, I appreciate that, Mayor. Obviously, we've got that on the agenda today, so we'll follow up with some discussion on that. On a personal standpoint, I am in agreement with you, and I've always felt that way. I know there's differing opinions out there, but I think it's a very valuable tool, and I think obviously the communities would speak for that as well. But it's one that we need to not abuse and to definitely give it its due diligence and not make it a forever tax. So
Agreed.
we'll get into that a little later unless anyone wants to add anything now, but certainly appreciate you coming over to give us your insight, and we'll see where that discussion leads.
Well, after Commissioner Richards attended many of our city council meetings, I thought I'd return the favor.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, commissioners? Still under county resident comments and concerns. If there's anyone else that would like to address the governing body? If not, we'll go ahead and close the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda, and that's going to move us right along into tab B. Under tab B is the consent agenda this morning, commissioners, with 11 items. First being the approval of the November 18th, 2025 meeting minutes. Second is the approval of the bonds. Third is the approval of the December 2nd, 2025 abates and rebates. Fourth is the approval of the county vouchers, warrants, the expenditure approval listing, and the commissioner's report. Fifth is the approval of the Memorial Hospital lab project expenditures. Sixth is a request to restaff a vacant position in the purchasing department. Seventh is a request to ratify the letter of support for the Alliance for Historic Wyoming's America 250 Wyoming grant application for their Henry Joy Monument project. 8 is a request to ratify the CLG comments on the proposed rule to rescind the conservation and landscape health rule. 9 is a request to ratify the CLG scoping comments on the Bureau of Land Management Wyoming's 2026 second quarter competitive lease sale. 10th is a request to ratify the letter of support for the High Desert chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution's America 250 Wyoming grant application for their Daughters of American Revolution America 250 marker project. And lastly, item number 11 is a request to ratify the letter of support for the City of Green River through their Parks and Recreation Department's America 250 Wyoming grant application for their Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness reflection area for the America 250 commemorative landscape at the Thomas Moran Park project. And with all of that, I would ask if there's any requests to remove any items off the consent agenda for further discussion. I would ask that we would remove item number 5, which is the approval of the Memorial Hospital lab project expenditures. If there are no other requests, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. I would then entertain a motion to approve the item number 5 that was just removed for the Memorial Hospital lab project expenditures.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I'm going to abstain, as although that funding isn't directly to the place in which I'm employed, it does funnel down through there, through that general contractor. And with that, that's going to move us right along into commissioner comments. Looks like I'm up first, so lunch or brunch or breakfast is on me. I'll try and keep it somewhat short. It was a relatively light couple of weeks for the most part. The day after our last meeting, I watched Micah Christensen with Wyoming County Commissioners Association testify before the Committee on Energy and Natural Resources on the BLM's land use planning process under FLPMA, the Federal Land Policy and Management Act. Well, I thought his entire testimony was spot on. One of my favorite quotes that he cited was from President Theodore Roosevelt, the father of conservation, which stated that conservation means development as much as it means protection. And we've obviously had a lot of back and forth, particularly on the RMP. And I just think it's important, obviously we just ratified a couple letters in regards to the FLPMA and NEPA processes. And there seems to be, I think, a little bit of confusion out there, which is good timing with the BLM's public meeting that is to take place tomorrow. But I believe this governing body and previous administrations as well have always supported conservation efforts and are improving public land resources. But the argument is that it must occur within the existing statutory framework under the FLPMA process, the Federal Land Policy and Management Act. and the other laws and statutes that are required. The BLM is to manage those public lands and the multiple uses in a way that protects the quality of scientific, scenic, historical, ecological, environmental, air and atmospheric, water resource, and archaeological values. Sweetwater County has actively worked with and will continue to federal and state agencies to improve rangelands, conserve soil, water, vegetative resources, and prevent soil erosion and flooding. But such public management authority does not expand to nor authorize the BLM to create an entire leasing program that is exclusively for conservation. Most of that language that I just spoke to is directly out of the letter we just ratified to rescind the Conservation and Landscape Health Rule. And therein lies the heartburn and the issues with the misuse of the ACECs and the various other components we beat into the ground over the last couple years leading up to the current record of decision. There's been 12 plus years of working together through multiple presidential administrations on each side of the aisle. And one of the most important requirements of FLPMA is working together with local governments, utilizing their existing land use plans and collaborating on issues of importance. That is how we got to this amendment process. And with that, I would remind the public that the BLM is hosting their public meeting for the RMP amendment process and the scoping comment period tomorrow from 3 to 6 p.m. at the events complex. That is your chance to get involved with the process and understand and ask questions. And I would assume probably all of us will be in attendance for that. So I look forward to getting the ball rolling there. Shifting gears from NEPA and FLPMA, I did have a meeting with Simplot manager Mark Rubich last Monday with Eric and Commissioner Jones. Sounds like he will likely be on our next agenda. Their group has some concerns with some of the language in FLPMA, ironically enough, in relation to land exchanges. So it sounds like they're looking for perhaps some support on some legislation there, but should see some more to come with that. Gene sent out the Public Works report yesterday. It looks a little more bleak than it has throughout the entire summer, just as most of those projects and capital improvements have either completed or are nearing completion. The library is about there, same with Southwest Counseling. Minor touch-ups on the Sweetwater County Public Works combined facility. Everyone is operational out of that facility at this point in time. Sounds like it's working well. I spoke with Gene, I think it was last week, and just with having everyone under the same roof, he said his phone calls have been cut in half and he's able to be more hands-on, just in the morning kind of meetings with all the staff there. So that seems to be working well. And I think that was a good investment for government efficiency despite some of the naysayers out there. The detention center project with the rooftop units and air handlers is also complete, or is almost complete, excuse me. Minor punch list items will take place throughout this month. Road and bridge, obviously snow has finally come, so crews will be out keeping roads open and working on snowdrift fences. The Roosevelt School Concrete Valley Gutter and Asphalt Patching Project is complete. And the Ramsey Ranch culvert, County Road number 24, will be delivered today, and the contractor will start removing and replacing the culvert. And this last part is kind of the bothersome part. We did not receive any proposals for the Rock Springs Youth Home Remodel and Expansion Project Feasibility Study or the Sweetwater County Parks Master Plan. This is very unusual, so Gene sent out some emails to all those firms that received the RFPs to find out why they didn't submit on these projects, and we'll see what those responses come back with. Perhaps bad timing, but hopefully we get a better response in that regard. We've received the 30% design plans for the Laos Drive reconstruction project and had a meeting with the design firm to provide feedback on that. And the Sweetwater County Green River Courthouse elevator upgrade project, RFQ, is almost complete. Once that's completed, it'll be released to the elevator companies later this month with a due date of the middle to the end of January. Aside from that, I've spent some time continuing to fine tune the scoping comment letter. That'll be before us at our next meeting. Obviously, we'll see if anything changes with tomorrow's public meeting. We also have scheduled a meeting with the WCCA in the governor's office for December 9th. Commissioner Jones and I and Eric and John will be involved with that, just to kind of, I guess, bounce everyone's direction and letters off one another to see if we can come out with a common message there. So look forward to those. Other than that, standard business ahead. Got the Christmas parade this Saturday in Rock Springs through the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce, and plan to attend that and gear up for the next meeting. With that, I'd stand for any questions. Commissioner Slaughter, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 19th, I too watched Micah Christensen's testimony before the Senate Subcommittee and felt that he did Wyoming proud. I think his points were pertinent and concise and to the point. I think he did a very good job. Also on the 19th, I attended the regular meeting of the County Museum Board. They reported that they had had 680 kids trick or treating and 925 total patrons at the museum for the month. They spent much of their time on their Day of the Dead exhibit and the booth that they set up for the downtown celebration, where they estimate they had 600 people stop by. They have hired a new curator. Jane Miter will be joining the staff beginning January 1st. Jane brings with her a wealth of experience, most recently in Du Bois. One of the major tasks to be a priority at that time is a basic inventory of all museum items. They have accepted a donation of several taxidermy animals, including full body mounts of an elk, a moose, a buck and doe deer, and a buck and doe antelope, a badger, wolverine, Canada goose, along with a few others that I didn't mention. Dave is currently working with Devin Brubaker to get an exhibit set up at the new airport terminal. They will also have a new website up and running by the end of the year. Once again, they emphasize that space continues to be a major concern for them, and they emphasize to the county commission, if there's anything ever that comes available, they would be interested. On the 20th, I attended the Coalition of Local Governments regular monthly meeting in Lyman. Members of the congressional staffs were not able to participate this month. CLG attorney Danielle Betancourt gave updates on several issues, including a current update on the Rocky Mountain Power IRP filing, the Kemmer Horsepower Replacement Project, oil and gas leases for the first and second quarters of 2026, Sage Grouse Plan amendments that were submitted October 3rd, the Rock Springs RMP amendment, including the intent to revise the special management areas comments extension through December 18th, and the public meeting to be held December 3rd from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Sweetwater County Events Complex. She also addressed the Wild Horse Management RMP, a cooperating agency meeting on the Vernal Field Office Dinosaur North Travel Management Plan to be held on December 10th from 1:30 to 4:30, an all-day meeting for cooperating agencies on the Bridger Teton National Forest Plan revision to be held in Marbleton on December 18th, the comment she submitted on the BLM notice to rescind the 2024 Conservation and Landscape Health Rule, November 11th, along with an update on the Upper Colorado River Basin. Last but not least, she reported that a workshop was going to be held November 25th at 10 a.m. in Lander for bighorn domestic sheep interaction. Discussion was held on each of these along with several other topics. On the 25th, I met with HR Director Gary McLean on a Southwest Wyoming Manufacturing Partnership discussion. I had been approached about the possibility of Sweetwater County partnering with SWMP to provide internships for local students. We discussed the concept and decided that it warranted further consideration. We will be holding further meetings to more fully understand the concept in the near future. The rest of last week was spent enjoying Thanksgiving with family and friends while eating far too much turkey and pumpkin pie. Yesterday, I had a virtual meeting with Simplot Plant Manager Mark Rubich, Commissioner Richards, and Land Use Director Eric Bingham. Once again, referencing the same thing as what the Commission Chair prior reported on, so I won't speak any more to it. The rest of this week will be full of several meetings on tap, and next week will also be very busy with liaison meetings and specific purpose tax joint powers board responsibilities. I too will try and attend the Christmas parade on Saturday and look forward to that. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Slaughter's report? Commissioner Tolman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I also listened to the WCCA testimony by Micah Christensen on FLIPMA. On the 19th, I traveled to Gillette to the Wyoming Association of Conservation Districts Convention. I went out to dinner and stayed with Diana Enzi. The next day, I attended the awards luncheon where I was presented with the 2025 Outstanding Elected Official Award. And if you spend 27 years, maybe you can also qualify for this award. I told my niece, I said, now it took me 26 years to get my second belt buckle. I got one from Treasurer Lummis when I was on her investment advisory board, and then I received this one. And Taylor, my niece, has already received 40 buckles, and she's 16 years old. So I hope she's going to start doing a meltdown and turn them in for cash or some such thing. I can wear the belt buckle, it comes off of the black. Also, while I was there, I gathered information on the Wyoming class because some of my liaison groups have cash reserves that they should be getting better interest on. So I will be sharing that information with Golden Hour and also with the Eden Valley Waste Management Board. And I did threaten to bring, I was cleaning out my files at the ranch, and I think I will bring the drawer of the Rock Springs RMP meetings. But it might take a wagon. I might have to hire a freight truck to bring it all in. I think I should bring it and share it with all of you, and at some point then we can have a bonfire in the parking lot or something. I just couldn't bear to burn it myself without having allowed all of you to see it. I attended the Coalition of Local Governments meeting, partially, part of it anyway, by phone while I was in Gillette. And thank you, Commissioner Slaughter, for covering that. On the 22nd, I attended the International Survivors of Suicide presentation at Broadway Theater. Special thanks for the work that April Thompson and Karen Kelly do to promote this event. On the 22nd, that same day, I attended the South Bighorn Music Festival at Rock Springs High School, where my niece Taylor sang with the Green River High School choir. On the 24th, I attended the Sweetwater Combined Communication meeting. Besides regular agenda items, there was discussion regarding acquiring the Pulse Point quote, a program to document and map all AEDs in the county. So if someone's having a heart attack, they could go to the nearest location to obtain an AED machine to jumpstart them. Priority dispatch was renewed for 5 years at $34,950, which was a savings, and it's guaranteed that rate for 5 years. There was discussion regarding the meeting with Mayor Mickelson about the MOU between the county and the cities. The next morning at 10 a.m., we did meet with the mayor. Island Richards and I met with Mayor Mickelson and others to discuss the MOU between the cities and the county. The main concern is the way the budget has been handled as an open checkbook with financial shortages expected. There has to be better communication regarding that budget. Their next regular meeting will be December 15th at 2:30 at the Sheriff's Training Center. On that same day, I had attended the Golden Hour Senior Center meeting. I discussed Wyoming class as an investment opportunity and forwarded information to Director Driggs. They went over the state surveys of the center's meals and programs, and they were all very positive. New meeting time has been set for their meetings last Thursdays of the month at 9:30 a.m., skipping the December meeting. So January 29th at 9:30 a.m. is the next meeting. On the 27th, I went to South Lincoln Nursing Center in Kimmer to be with my mom for Thanksgiving, along with my sister Lori and niece Taylor. The center put on delicious dinner for all, and I did not have to cook. Upcoming today at 11:30, Public Land Management and Local Impact. There's a virtual. I'm not sure where that came from. Did you guys get that notice? A virtual meeting. It says Public Land Management and Local Impact. Anyway, I'll check in with it. If you're interested, I can forward it. And I'm not sure who initiated that. On the 3rd of December, tomorrow, the Bureau of Land Management scoping meeting on the ACEC's amendment. As I said, events complex at 3 p.m. open to the public. And I would ask everyone to say prayers for Ron Wild of Rocky Mountain Power. He is struggling with health issues in Salt Lake. So our best to him. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the report. Congratulations on your award and your second belt buckle. It's been a good year for you.
Yeah, it is. I'm becoming famous, I guess.
We certainly appreciate all you do. Definitely extend our best wishes to Ron Wild as well. Questions or comments? Commissioner Jones?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to congratulate Taylor on her 40 belt buckles.
And Mr. Chairman,
About 16, and so I asked her exactly how many do you have, and she says 40. I go, what?
I have always thought of Commissioner Tolman as infamous, so it's nice to know that she's also famous. So
Thank you. I'm honored to work with this group, but I do have to say that I am very proud of all of you for getting the baptism by fire on the BLM RMP processes. You jumped in with all feet and been more active than any other commission that probably in history as far as the federal issues. Thank you.
I feel like we just got dumped on. I don't know about baptism by fire. It was. So I look forward to your bonfire. That'll be
I was
good.
burning myself, but it just seemed selfish to not at least share it with you and let you share in the
Lot of
joy.
dedication there. Thanks,
Yes.
really do, Commissioner. Commissioner Richards, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Yet another light couple of weeks. I feel like I've been a bit spoiled. We're getting close to a new year though. That means a new budget is around the corner, and with ad valorem collections in the county trending down over 10% year to date, it's shaping up to be another painful budget year, a message that I've been conveying to all the entities that I'm liaison with. After our meeting on the 18th, I attended the monthly meeting for Southwest Counseling Board. Our Public Works Director, Gene Legursky, was there to discuss proposals for the county providing maintenance on the county-owned buildings they occupy and discussions about what that would look like if it were to go forward. After he was done presenting to them, I snuck away and Gene gave me a thorough tour of the HHS building. While I've attended a lot of meetings there, it was my first opportunity to tour the entire building. The next morning on the 19th, I remotely attended the airport board meeting where they conducted regular business. On the 20th, I attended the YWCA's Festival of Trees at Commerce Bank in Rock Springs. I did my best to buy something, but I got outbid at every turn, but that's okay. I got off cheap and drove up prices for others on a few items. Overall, it was a great night that raised a lot of money for a good cause. On the 24th, I spent a couple hours visiting with IT Director Tim Knight, catching up with what's going on in his department. On the 25th, along with Commissioner Tobin and Chief Deputy County Attorney John DeLeon, we attended a meeting at the Rock Springs Mayor's office with the mayor, a couple of city council members, as well as leadership and board members from the Joint Powers Combined Communications Center to discuss some expectations on the cities and our behalf that they find a way to cut some costs. Of course, on the 27th, I celebrated Thanksgiving with my family at my house. My wife and daughter are fantastic cooks, and we had a great dinner. On the 29th, I attended the mayor's lighting ceremony at Bunning Park in Rock Springs. The lights look amazing there. I encourage you to go out and see them. Yesterday, I joined Commissioner Slaughter as well as Land Use Director Eric Bingham on a remote meeting with Mark Rubich, the plant manager out at Simplot, for a discussion about some issues they are having with a land swap with the BLM at their Pocatello plant, the lawsuits that have stemmed from that attempt, and the ripple effect that the issues could have on production and jobs right here in Sweetwater County. Looking forward, tomorrow I plan on attending the public scoping meeting for the Rock Springs RMP amendment. On the 4th, I'll attend the Rock Springs Chambers Enterprise meeting at the hospital. On the 5th, we will finally have a First Fridays Federal Partners meeting. That will be our first since the federal shutdown, so it'll be interesting to see how all the local offices are faring since getting back to work. On the 6th, I plan on riding on the Commissioner's float in the Chambers lighted parade in Rock Springs. On the 8th, I have a remote SCORC collaborative meeting scheduled. Speaking of SCORC, that reminds me that the public comment period is open for the administrative rules for the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation and Tourism Trust Fund. The comment period for those will close on January 10th. So if you'd like to review the proposed rules and or comment on them, you can find them at rules.wyo.gov. On the 9th, I'll remotely attend the Wyoming State Liquor Association meeting. On the 10th, I have a NACO CEWD meeting, and then full circle back here for our next meeting. I think that's all I have for you today, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Richards' report? Not, Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. fair amount of ditto in my report, of course, but on the 19th, I too watched Micah Christensen testify and lobby the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources in Washington, D.C. I'd like to take a second to thank Mr. Christensen and also the Wyoming County Commission Association for lobbying and testifying on behalf of Wyoming, all of our counties, cities, and towns, and the people of Wyoming regarding the Flint Mine. Also, there were some discussions around the Rock Springs BLM Resource Management Plan. I'd also like to thank Senator Brasso for his part in making all of this happen and including Wyoming. Mr. Christensen did an excellent job of representing all of us. Excuse me. He and the Wyoming County Commissioners Association again proved their worth and value to the taxpayers of Wyoming. The RMP is incredibly important to the Sweetwater County and the state of Wyoming, and it continues to amaze me that some of our legislators fail the simple task of seeing the value of such associations when they are out in the open working for the people. The legislators opposed to these associations are also the people who have accomplished nothing or really even done anything regarding the RMP. They have, however, shown that they are opposed to local control and want one arm of government in Cheyenne to dictate how all levels of Wyoming will be handled, which also silences the voice of the people. On the 20th, I attended virtually the WYDOT Commission meeting and gave brief testimony as they had final discussions as to whether or not they would enroll roadways in the trails program that I, along with many others, have been working on for a couple of years or so. If you will all remember, we voted to enroll county roads in a trail system to be built that can be used by ATVs, UTVs, Jeeps, motorcycles, what have you, with simply a registration sticker. Towns and cities in Sweetwater County, as well as surrounding counties, have done the same. The last vote for enrollment needed to be WYDOT, as they needed to see what all roads the towns, cities, and counties enroll and see which ones will join state roadways. WYDOT did vote in favor of enrolling the roads, so now the process of building a trail and road system using existing roads moves on to the Wyoming State Trails Program for the most part. So a lot of progress has been made there. It's been a long haul, but I think we're getting closer to seeing some good things happen. Also on the 20th, I attended the 10th Annual Festival of Trees. As was mentioned, it was a great event and seemed to raise a fair amount of money. So it was good to be there. On the 21st, I had a pretty lengthy conversation with a gentleman I've known for nearly 50 years. This friend of mine flew in the U.S. Air Force for 10 years and now has flown commercial airliners for 26 years. Our conversation surrounded the idea of chemtrails and if they're taking place currently and what his knowledge of chemtrails actually is as a current and past pilot. We talked about his knowledge of government testing dating back to the 70s using chemicals. And the long and short of it is that there has been a variety of testing over the years by our government, but the idea of commercial airliners spraying chemicals would nearly be impossible without the knowledge of commercial pilots. We had a lengthy discussion regarding inspections by pilots as well as knowledge of what is loaded on a plane and the possibility of chemicals being loaded without the knowledge of the pilots and crews. What I really want people to take from this and other comments I've made over time regarding chemtrails, hand counting ballots, nuclear, or whatever the topic may be, is that I work to become as informed as possible and do so by listening to both sides of a topic. It's incredibly short-sighted and shows laziness when a politician only seriously considers the point of view they feel is correct. In other words, living in an echo chamber is a dangerous way to govern. On the 22nd, I attended the UW football game in Laramie. While the outcome was not what we wanted, it was a wonderful experience to be there. When they retired Josh Allen's jersey, UW did a great job of honoring Josh and all of his accomplishments. On the 24th, as was mentioned, was involved in a meeting with Simplot, so move on. Also on the 24th, I attended the Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County Finance and Audit Committee meeting. Hospital had another month with a positive bottom line, which is a great thing to report with the vast majority of hospitals in Wyoming and actually around the country either losing money or closing their doors. On the 25th, I attended the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting where normal business was conducted. I joined many of my family and friends for time together over Thanksgiving, a little bit of Christmas shopping, and as so many, ate way too much turkey. One thing I would like to mention, I'm very thankful for the four of you and all of our hardworking employees that help make Sweetwater County a great place to live. On the first, I had a great conversation with Dr. Barbara Swata about many things in life. Barbara and I spent several years on the Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County Board of Trustees together, and I appreciate her willingness to volunteer her time on boards and give back to our communities. And I have great respect for her opinions. One of the topics we discussed was the hopeful workings between MHSC and Southwest Counseling regarding mental health. Commissioner Richards, I wasn't trying to step on your toes. We just had a conversation that flowed from one topic to the other, and we ended up partially discussing Southwest Counseling. But it sounds like there's some great possibilities between the two in the future. So I look forward to great work from great people. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Jones's report? If not, that's going to conclude the Commissioner comments portion of the agenda. Nice work, Commissioners. And that's going to move us right along into tab C, which is the action and presentation items. There's only 2 items on the agenda before you this morning, which is unique in itself. I don't know that we've ever had only 2 items. The first item is the cancellation of the outstanding county warrants. Treasurer Cowan had a last-minute matter come up yesterday afternoon, and so he said he was going to try to remote in, but I told him I should be able to cover it on his behalf. But basically, today's agenda item is simply a request to cancel a list of outstanding warrants that have not been cashed, which is required under state statute. And it also requires them to be done at the first December meeting, which is why we didn't push this back. If any of these individuals on the list wish to come back, I believe he stated they have up to 5 years. And perhaps our former treasurer might be able to add anything if I've missed it, but other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward.
I think you've covered it pretty well, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions on the cancellation of the outstanding warrants? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the cancellation of the outstanding county warrants as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next item is a discussion on the specific purpose tax, and I'd hand it over to Commissioner Slaughter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the four of you well know, I have been serving as the chairman of the 2023 Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board. And over the last couple meetings, we have been discussing several issues pertaining to the idea of whether there would be any desire to move forward with a new specific purpose tax initiative or to continue the current tax initiative. There are ways that can be done. So basically, we've been discussing ways that the municipalities who have been doing these projects could advertise what has been done and what they still have in the works. And I felt like it would be appropriate for me at this point in time to do an update of where we are on this, and then talk about the concept of a new initiative or something of that nature, because the Joint Powers Board members asked me to talk with my board about what your concept is. Reason for that being obviously that we're an integral part of the concept of doing a new resolution. So as far as the current update, we're at 28 full months of collection on the specific purpose tax from 2023. Our total collections to date are $44,605,618.68. Our average full month collection has been $1,553,578.69. The percent of total tax collected at this point in time is 55.22%. Our balance left to collect is $36,176,479.30. So our estimated months to collect at our current average collection would be 23.2 months. Our estimated full collection month at our current average collection would be December of 2027. So all of those facts lead to the fact that If there were a desire to move forward with a new initiative or continue, time is getting short. And so that's been one of the discussions we have talked about. When you read Wyoming Statute 3915-203, A3A, before any proposition to impose the tax or incur the debt shall be placed before the electors, the governing body of a county and the governing bodies of at least 50% of the incorporated municipalities within the county shall adopt a resolution approving the proposition. It goes on. The key point in this is that the governing body of a county has to be in favor of this, regardless of what the other electors of the municipalities do. So it's incumbent at that point in time that the BOCC be in favor of the resolution, or there's no reason for us as a joint powers board to continue this and to move forward with the other councils, or to have the other councils look at projects or their desire to move forward at this time. So if this board were in favor, there are options for a continuation of the current tax. It would still have to go before the electorate for that to take place with a new list of projects, or there could be a new initiative that would be done. Under a continuation, it would be something that could potentially be done at an election prior or sooner than it could be done while the ongoing tax is still being collected. So the question that has been posed, and I'm asking for the Joint Powers Board, is where does this board stand with that concept? And if there is desire, we will move forward. If there's not, I will let our board know that at this point in time, the Board of County Commissioners is not in favor. So I would just encourage some discussion from the commission members on where we stand with respect to that.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the explanation and the numbers with that. Commissioners, I open it up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
I guess I would probably just make a pretty simple statement, but I'm just opposed to it at this point in time. I don't want this to have the appearance of a never-ending tax. That's not the purpose of it. And I don't want the public to think that's the purpose of it, or think that that's the direction this is always going to go. This is obviously up to the voters, but at this point, I just can't get behind it. I think one of the concerns that I have is I don't know where our tax system in general is going to land in the next year or so. So I'm really not a fan of supporting more taxes until we know what we're facing. And watching some of the legislative meetings, and they're admitting themselves that they're doing math on the back of a napkin to revamp our whole state tax system, has me very concerned. So therefore, I can't get behind additional taxes till I know where we're going to land.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
if the current specific purpose tax is going to be fully collected as of December 2027, and that's an estimate, and they can only be pulled off quarterly. So I'm assuming that means this likely could go into first quarter of 2028. My belief with that, the very earliest I would like to see a new specific purpose initiative on the ballot would be in our general election in 2028, if not later. I think when we ask the voters and the taxpayers to fund these specific purpose projects, we do it with the agreement that when they're done funding this project, they get a break from the tax. Otherwise, we risk making the naysayers, who every time this comes up, they say, oh, they're just going to make it permanent. I don't want to give any weight to that argument ever. It's a great tool. It's a great way to fund projects that otherwise we could not find the money for. But we have to be careful that we are careful with the public's money. And I would like to give them a 1 or 2 year break from that tax if possible. So with Commissioner Jones, I'm I'm against supporting an ongoing tax at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Tillman.
I concur with my fellow commissioners. I think we do need to keep a promise to the voters, but we don't know what's going to happen in 2 years. So to make an absolute promise, we may be facing additional sales taxes because of what the legislature does to us, having nothing to do with specific purpose. So definitely think we need to wait and see and give people a break. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously I spoke to it a little bit earlier when the mayor was speaking, but I've always been a believer in the people deserve a break. And I believe it's been a tremendous tool for this community. And we owe it to the voters for their support of being able to keep up with particularly infrastructure needs, but it's also provided various other, wonderful tools for this community with, the MOB, and there's had some recreation in there and various other things. But I think with all of the climate on the unknowns of the budget and taxation, and obviously the property tax, the people's initiative on that, I just think it's ill timing. I don't think the voters ever vote for a specific purpose tax with the understanding and impression that it just continues on and continues on. There's a cap amount for a reason, so they know, that it's limited to those specific projects and that estimated specific time frame. And I think a break is warranted. And although I'd love to continue to grow and build the community and advance the community in certain areas, we've heard a lot from recreation and the indoor sports kind of arena of things. But if we abuse the tool, then we'll lose the tool. I've always been pretty advocate or pretty vocal about that. So I would agree with Commissioner Richards' timeline at a minimum, and that's kind of where I stand on it. So.
Mr. Chairman, speaking as a commissioner, I too have always believed that this is a tax that is put on for a specific time period to fund specific projects. It has been extremely successful. Since 2001, we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and the people here in Sweetwater County have been willing to vote that tax on themselves. I think that they have done that. A big part of that has been the trust that they've had in us, that once that tax is collected, it will go off and that they will have the opportunity once again to look at a new tax. So I think that I can report back with full confidence to the Joint Powers Board that the current commission would not be in favor at this point in time. So it's something that while we still need to be aware, and at the time that it's appropriate, that board should be looking at methods to try and advocate for that and to let the people know once again what has been provided in the prior taxes that they have approved. So that's where we will go. I will take that message back to the Joint Powers Board at our meeting next Monday. And I believe that that would be a simple takeaway from this discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's anything else, I would be glad to add to that and take it back to that board.
No, thanks, Commissioner. We appreciate all you do on the specific purpose tax board and chairing that. I think I've said it before, but there's a lot that goes on that I don't think the average person understands. Once the tax is passed, they just assume the money rolls in and rolls out, but there's a lot more to it than that, and tracking and requisitions and ensuring that, the money's going to where those projects were intended. I know when I served on there under the city council, I think at that time, before this initiative was passed, since I believe it was the year 2000, there was $120 million worth of projects that Sweetwater County had approved. So with this, I mean, you're looking at 200 million or so.
I think we're looking, and I may be wrong, Mr. Chairman. I've done several PowerPoint presentations on this, and I've got a wheel that shows each of the initiatives that have been done since 2001. I think it was $180 million prior to this initiative.
180.
So I think that would be almost 260, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but it's very significant.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
down.
150.
Well, I hate to throw
Yeah,
millions around like that, but either way, it's been a very
Yeah, I believe it was 180 prior to this. So with this initiative, which is just about $80 million, or almost $250 million.
Yeah.
So,
Very good. Any further discussion? Okay. Thanks, Commissioner. Thanks for bringing it before us, and I guess keep us posted on the continued progress over the months to come there. With that, Commissioners, we are ahead of schedule. We do have an executive session scheduled. So with no further business on the regular agenda, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the discussion of personnel.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards.
Second.
She stole it. Second by Commissioner Toman. I am not sure if we will be taking action upon coming out. So at this time, we'll enter into executive after the vote, and we will be across the hall in the Castle Rock room. So with a motion and a second on the table, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously, and we are now in executive.
What did he say? I can't remember all.
Test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2, test, test, test. Testing, 1, 2, test. Testing audio. So I'm,
All right. Yeah, seriously, like. what-
test,
Yeah, you'll entertain a motion.
test, test, test.
That-
Is the volume all the way up? Yeah. So I don't think,
Oops, gosh. I'm telling you.
think it's
I'm
ground.
married.
'Cause how's that?
Oh,
mute everything.
because she's so overqualified.
Then we
But
do it
I
now.
feel like
Talk through it.
that there is-
Test 1 2 test 1 2 test. Test test test.
I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna talk to my, just my connections, I'm gonna get this done.
It should, because it's going to.
It's on the wire. Like, a lot. But I just.
Coming from the mics. So,
Not enough for her.
okay,
And it's
Yeah.
just gonna be.
it was working before.
it's a-
Video is there.
Which also give her. And her to track over. Yeah, because I may be overthinking it because she's so overqualified. Yeah. Right.
Can you?
I think. Christian could
It
do
should be coming from
she's going for her.
whatever's going into this. Or from the Extron. Shouldn't it be coming from the Extron through?
Yeah, and so I feel like. I think the best bet. But I can't argue why, not her. Yeah. And so it's like. I'm trying to figure out how to be working with that. Well. If you really bring something. I know you're thinking of events, how fast Tamara. All the time, Tamara. I was like, stop. Tammy, but that's what I'm son, so just tell me.
I mean, I can go to
I can't believe that first is
the Extron. It's the Extron meeting. And there are two. But one is the system and one is just the meeting port itself.
You got a lot of wrong.
As a speaker, it is.
I'm kind of worried about her. Honestly, because she's got a combination of the size people who don't want to learn. And
No, they're both the same. It's just one is coming from a system and one is direct. So one's the same as system, echo canceling speakerphone, and then the next one is just echo canceling speakerphone. So they. Yes, it is. Mhm. Right.
yeah, let me be way overqualified.
What was working before we did all this? I don't know what we have so far. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it just changed when we. We had a meeting where we were having issues. But it was working before that meeting. I mean, it's been working for. Kind of had some issues and then we're like, well,
Jesse, I am scary.
Got a little uneasy with our friend that joined us.
Are these signed? Can I take these?
They are, you bet.
Not favorite.
Dry humor was epic. I don't even think she caught it. Oh my goodness.
Go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
We're just trying to fix the audio for.
for that part, okay.
Yeah.
I just. In the meeting.
You can finish your meeting, do it in YouTube.
That's a pretty cool deal. 23 more years, you can have your own.
That's right.
Don't quit, forever and ever. Just keep going.
We can move forward. Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to come out of executive session and reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We are out of executive and there is no business or no action rather to be taken. So with that and no further business to come before this board, I think we might have a record. This meeting stands adjourned. Thanks all.
Hour 20.